Hey guys, welcome to another Bully 2 video. So we're back at the rocks down in Worthing, I believe this was. Trying out a few new parts on the Bully 2. Now I was after a little bit more wheel speed, and I didn't really want to upgrade the motors or the ESCs. I was looking for a cheap way to achieve a little bit more wheel speed, which we've done with a 4S battery. I was able to pick up this little, I think it's like a 450 milliamp hour 4S lipo off Hobby King for like £7, and it's actually perfect. I've got loads of wheel speed now. It still crawls nice and slow. I did have to adjust the EXP on the throttle on my transmitter because it wasn't crawling very slow on 4S, but since I've done that, it's great now. I've got tons of wheel speed. Comes in handy later on when I was trying to jump a little gap between two rocks. Yeah, you'll see that towards the end of the video. So that's worked out really well. The ESC that's in there is the Hobby Wing 880 dual motor ESC, which is rated up to 4S. So it's worked out rather nicely. The other thing is the shocks. I did soften up these shocks. I put the softest of the springs that comes with the kit in the shocks. It does seem to have made a bit of a difference, but I did break one of the shock absorbers. It was on a rocky area similar to this. The car kind of flipped over forwards, and as it did so, a wheel went down into a hole, and it bent one of the front shock shafts very badly. So again, at some point I would like to upgrade the shocks, but at the moment funds don't allow for anything too sort of major. So I just went on eBay and I found a pair of shocks that were the same size and shape as the ones that are on here, for again next to no money. I think they were about £8 for the pair. Yeah, and so it's got one silver shock on the front at the moment, and the other three are the standard white stick ones. It works fine, does the job just fine. There's no issues with that at all. Yeah, and so the other thing we still need to do, I have vented the tyres now, but still they're too firm. We need to do something about the foams in these tyres. The tyres themselves are pretty good. I think they're very grippy. But, yeah, they just don't deform enough. So I either have to look into getting new foams, or I may look into just cutting the ones that are in there. I may try like a star shape or something on them to try and soften them up a bit. So that's going to be the next job. Again, she was doing pretty well on the rocks today. It's very cold and a little bit damp. She's done quite well on the rocks. This little session was cut a little bit short by a breakage, first real breakage I've had on this thing. While we were trying to jump the gap between the two rocks. Yeah, there you go. I did at the end of this video, I did lose front wheel drive. We had only rear wheel drive. It turned out it was the little pin that goes, it's the little pin that holds the locker gear inside the front axle. There is only one pin in the whole thing, other than the wheel pins. The only other pin held gear is the big one inside the front axle, and that's what snapped. And you can see what did it. I was slamming the front wheels quite hard into that rock to try and jump across the gap there. It turned into a bit of a nightmare trying to change that pin. I Loctited all the screws in the front axle after they came loose on a previous run, and then trying to get them out again was an absolute nightmare. It was a medium strength thread lock that I used, which is supposed to be removable, but still I had several of the screws where the heads, the hexes rounded off on the heads of the screws, and I had to cut slots in them and try and get them out that way. And there were a couple of screws where the whole head of the bolt snapped off. So I'm left with a couple of a couple of spots now that don't have a bolt holding the front axle together, which isn't ideal. It does still seem to work okay though. But yeah, that was a little bit disappointing. I'm really not sure what kind of bolts they supply with that kit, but they don't seem to be very strong. I don't think they're proper sort of 10 grade steel ones like you would expect them to be. But hey, there we go. Yeah, as I say, definitely need to cut down the tyre foams. I think that's going to make the biggest difference for the next time I come up to the rocks. But still, had an enjoyable time. It's a shame I lost front wheel drive at the end and had that little breakage, but it's a beautiful spot. I'm sure I'll be back again another day to try and conquer these rocks. Alright guys, thanks for watching. See you next time.